I'm John Billingsley, and you are listening to Beyond Track podcast.
What are some thoughts of yours towards the whole, is Star Trek getting too woke?
The idea that a show that exists to push the boundaries in terms of what is acceptable and what it should be like just part of our human condition, which is, everybody on the fucking ship, as long as you're nice. To me, it's like you can't be too woke.
Red alert.
It's got a backup warp drive to it. Big fan.
Oh, it's fantastic. Absolutely. Oh,
Conversely,
yeah, we're here. Woohoo!
Hey, everybody. We
It
finally
worked.
made it back to YouTube. This is our first live in a while. We are Beyond Trek Podcast.
It has been a while.
We're happy to see that the two people watching this are just me and Renzo right now. So,
it's not me this time.
oh, there might actually be somebody in here with us. That's great. Today has been a
It's
day.
pretty exciting. It has been a day. We've had some weather.
We've had some weather, but
What's that from? I don't even remember.
Not me. But no, the coolest thing is that we just got out of an interview with James Swallow, who is writing the second book in the Coda series. So stay tuned for that coming up, because that's going to come out when the book comes out on October 26th. Today, though, we're here to talk about these really cool backgrounds that everybody has, except for me.
I know you need a cool background, like a nice lower decks background.
Yeah, get a bird of prey or something going.
I don't want a bird of prey though. Bird of prey is
Then get a clump ship. How
Bird
about
of
a
prey
clump
is-
ship? Everybody loves the clump ship.
the clump ship Pakled. Pakled ship. Pakled clump ship. Pakled. This is Pakled planet. I'm gonna go with this.
Okay.
Oh, I like it.
This is where I exist.
I mean, it's a California Borg cube, so it's perfect.
The California class Borg cube, right? Second assimilation ship or something.
No, it's 90182, which is a California area code, right?
I knew that. I was spinning off of it. If you have California class do second contact, then California class cubes do second assimilation.
I'm very disappointed.
We've had
that
one
they-
assimilation. Why not have two?
I was gonna make the Hobbit joke, but you beat me to it.
Why didn't they make it Borg Cube 90210? That's just
I was
a
thinking that would have been
total missed opportunity.
way on the nose.
It might have been
there.
two on the nose, though. They might have had issues with the actual show.
Oh, right, like they haven't been too on the nose.
That would have
Right.
been fantastic. Yep. Glenn Iverson says, "We are smorgas of Borg, delicious and fruitful. Prepare to have masticated." And that just makes me hungry now. Thanks, Glenn.
That
So
was
let's talk
good.
about this episode a bit. Right?
Yes.
So its name is Wedge Dooge, which means it's the first Star Trek episode we've ever had that wasn't in a real language, in a real human language.
And not just that, but also the title card
Script.
was scripted actually in Klingon. That's
Yeah.
what you meant. Yeah.
No, it wasn't. It's actually just the fact that it's written in Klingon, whereas it's always been Latin or Greek or French or Spanish for our episode titles before.
Okay. Yeah. And Wedge Dooge means
3 ships, which I thought was great, even though there's 5 in the episode. But
It was. I didn't even. Oh, good catch. I'm rusty on my Klingon.
Hi, Rusty Klingon. I'm Dag.
Dad jokes.
Dag jokes.
No, I said
Okay,
dad
so-
jokes.
So
dive right on in.
I'm over here like our new Lady Supreme Talyns, totally Valeris, 100%.
She's got the headband going for sure.
That's where my thing. She's got the headband and the way that she talks talks the way that she talks. I believe. And then they keep chastising her for all those
She's just overly emotional. She's
things.
so out of control.
I know, right?
She's crazy.
The little outbursts that she have is like akin to one of us going, "I'm not sure this is going to work out right. I have a gut instinct about them." Whoa, just chill. Just take a chill pill till it. No, I love her to death. And I'm going to jump right into my biggest speculation of all time. I think she's going to get reassigned to Cerritos, where she and Mariner are going to be besties. There's going to be some maybe coolness between her and Boimler. And also, I absolutely think if McMahon does his homework right, that they're going to tie Talyns in to the Romulan supernova in a way where maybe she's got that Romulan background that we were never able to explore with the intentions for like Saavik and Valeris. And that would be really cool to do that. Have her be a Romulan agent who snuck in as a Vulcan to start taking readings about the Hobus sun. And, you know, she goes to the Cerritos, totally nondescript place to perform that kind of research. And then at the end of season 3, we discover that there is that instability and Talyns was right. And she lied to us the whole time. And what do?
See, yeah. I hope you're wrong. I just want her to be a Vulcan of her era who is accepting that maybe logic isn't the end of wisdom, right? She's just a younger generation of Vulcan. She's a bit more in touch with her emotions. Sure, logic's still king, fine, but it's not the only thing you need. So she can trust her instincts a bit. And I just hope I think that's a better development of the character rather than retreading Saavik or Valeris-y stuff.
I know you're right, but I need my Vulcan culture with that dash of conspiracy theory. So
just go watch Enterprise season 4.
What?
Well,
no, I'm kidding.
So you think she's like the millennial Vulcan?
Yeah, right.
Something.
I think that she's just
millennial.
Yeah,
millennial.
So think of it this way, right? Remember the other 2 Vulcans that she was with, the one voiced by Nolan North, who I swear to God was Zachary Quinto for a minute there. I really thought he sounded just like Zachary Quinto's Spock. It was
really?
It was crazy to me when I looked it up and it was Nolan North. But yeah, the 2 Vulcans that she's with, that Talyns is with, their responses are like that boomer response to somebody younger being like, trying to come up with a new idea or push some new change at work. And they're like, that's not your role. You need to stay in your lane. Like that's very much that kind of intergenerational conflict that we're seeing in real life playing out here between Vulcans that to our eyes look about the same age. So maybe she is just from a different generation coming up with some new ideas and a new approach.
I dig it. I mean,
yeah, I like that.
I pretty much like to go wherever Star Trek takes me, whether it's where I thought we would go or not. That's kind of beside the point.
So let's talk about the Pakleds, right? This whole season and most of last season, we've had various conspiracy theories of who the Pakleds are working with, what they've been doing, why they're being so aggressive, right? Did either of you guys have the slightest inkling that it was going to be some like son of Duras type Klingon captain who just wants to create chaos again? Anything like that? Because I didn't see a Klingon thing coming at all.
I didn't either. I was really surprised that it went this way. I thought they were going to do something a little more out there, like have it just because they brought the Pakleds back as such an obscure race to bring back, that they were going to have like an even more obscure thing behind it, like Nagilum or something. Not necessarily him, but just highlighting how obscure Lower Decks tends to dig for these aspects. But, you know, one commenter on either Reddit or Twitter said that Lower Decks has managed to take the Pakled, which seemed like such a one-off, not even worthy threat, make them more threatening than the Ferengi were in season 1 of TNG.
Yeah. Oh, they are.
Yeah.
I'm pleasantly surprised that we got the Pakleds. I didn't see that coming a mile away. I thought we were going to get, if we didn't have any quote unquote villain, which I didn't come into Lower Decks thinking we would have. I was kind of surprised that there was a serialized adversary. Never thought it would be the Pakleds. And then with it being the Pakleds, I remember thinking, why? Why the Pakleds? They're stupid, you know, and all that. But we see that they're very dangerous that way. With that, you know, I hate to say lack of intelligence, but it almost kind of makes them dangerous that they're a little bit on the not smart side.
Red alarm. So good. The way that they handle the Pakleds in the show, I think, has been pretty spectacular. I've been saying this all along. I just think that they managed to show a race that is clever, devious, but not able to communicate itself very effectively.
Right.
So they come off as stupid. They
do.
Certainly do. And that's something that they use to their advantage, like they did in Samaritan Snare and all that, right? So yeah, I think that the way they approached it is good. As far as the reveal being that a Klingon was using it to cause instability, again, didn't see it coming. I was expecting if it was going to be anybody, be some like rogue Obsidian Order agents, hell, maybe a rogue Section 31 dude trying to stir up some trouble to create a vacuum where they could reestablish themselves. Literally anything other than Klingons. So I'm very happy that it's Klingons because I didn't see it coming. That's always great.
Yeah. And the ships? Can we?
Okay, so I'm going to say this flat out. I think this is the best space battle that Star Trek has had probably since Nemesis, if not since the opening moments of the Kelvin universe, the Kelvin versus the Narada.
You think
right?
so, really?
Yeah, this is so much better than anything we've seen in Discovery or Picard, by a mile.
Okay.
Do you agree, Chad? Is this the best fight sequence that we've seen in Star Trek since 19 years ago?
Yeah, and here's why.
You already got a person agreeing with you.
For why?
Is it Wardogheim? Yeah, Wardogheim says it was an awesome.
Let me make my case.
Let's hear it.
The problem with Discovery's ship battles has been their transitional cuts from shot to shot. You don't get to see what's going on. You don't get a big picture of what's going on. Or there's so much going on that you can't focus on anything, right? So in the first season with the Klingon battles, lots of movement, lots of high movement for everything. You can't catch a glimpse of a ship without it blowing up in the same scene. You can't keep up with that. That's not great for visual like ship battles, right? That's pretty much all of them. In the second season, the battles with Control, there's so much going on that Discovery and Enterprise at the end of the season versus the whole fleet, again, there's just too much visual overload for you, right? I'm big on catching a lot of things going on at once. I play video games. I'm good at this. I can follow it, but it doesn't make for engaging storytelling to see like 700 fighters swarming at the same time, right? Same problem happened to Picard with their season finale. There was just too many ships. You want to tell a good story? Focus on 2 or 3 or 5, right? Don't focus on 200 versus 300. You can't keep up with it if you're trying, unless you're following one ship like the Defiant at the end of the Dominion War stuff, right? You can't focus on everything all at once, right? I think that the mid-season episodes of Orville season 2 did this really well. Identity, they show how a big fleet battle can be following one ship again, and I think that this episode does it too. Nemesis follows the Enterprise E's perspective during the battle. It's center frame or taking up most of the screen and most of the shots, right? So you're seeing it from its perspective. When the 2 Valdors show up, they show up at the edges of your screen and then attack the scimitar. Same thing here.
I want to add to your observation there because it feels like there's a scene in the Nemesis fight where the bird of prey just gets like broadsided by Shinzon's ship, and it goes from being like in the fight to drifting away. And my brain is telling me that like we pan up from the Enterprise to see that shot, which then makes it Enterprise centric again. So that adds some firepower to that argument.
Exactly. And here the shots all focus on Doritos. Even when the Cheval like shows up and does that beautiful covering move to give it like shield protection for a second or two, Cerritos is still center frame. So you know exactly what's going on. The right. Chita is firing and the Pakled clump ship is firing, but the Vulcans just save the day. Sure, as an audience member, you should have expected it because of the way the thing was structured, but it's still a beautiful reference to First Contact when the Enterprise E shows up and covers the Defiant the same way, right? It was such a good battle for me. Very happy with it.
I just had a stupid realization spinning off of that. Okay, so what's the name of the Pakled clump ship?
Pakled.
What's the name of the Pakled planet?
Pakled planet.
Right. So what's the name of all the Pakled clump ships by that logic then?
They're probably all Pakled.
Which is why all starships are Enterprise.
Oh, good point. I see it. Yeah.
They don't have a reason to have different names for everything. Like
right. Individuals do have names though with the Pakleds we've seen.
Yeah, the individuals do, and that's probably more of a necessity thing. They're as smart as they need to be in the moment, but you know, my Pakled clump ship is better than your Pakled clump ship. That's probably just a thing that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I didn't see any big helmets on this ship though. I was a little disappointed.
Either way. The thing that I thought was really cool about the battle is that they also played with the sizes of ships very well. Most Star Trek battles tend to get kind of forgetful on sizes of things. Deep Space Nine was reasonably consistent about it. TNG was awful about it. Voyager didn't have much of a frame of reference because nothing else out there we knew anything about. But this battle was good. The bird of prey was small. It was like 200 meters-ish in size. The clump ship was fucking massive as expected. And the Cerritos is honestly where I expect to see it in size, 350-ish meters or so, right? That's what makes sense for its size, and everything played out well. Then the Vulcan ship shows up, and it's huge, just like the Vulcan ships were in Enterprise. They were 700 meters in Enterprise. This guy looks like he's about a little over a kilometer, 1.2 maybe. So he is big, science, brutal ship. It's not a battleship, but it's big, and it stands in the way. And it looks good. I think that they did a good job with their perspective shots there.
And the very clear homages and extrapolations from previous Vulcan ships that we've seen, as in Enterprise.
Yeah, it clearly shows some development in Vulcan like thinking, because they now still have the annular ring warp drive, but as you can see right over one of my shoulders, they also have nacelles along the side too. Maybe they're backups, or maybe they supplement the ring drive so that it just functions as one unit. But clearly, Vulcans have learned from the humans and the Andorians that nacelles are great, so use nacelles as well.
Yeah, and that just seems like a really good fusion of cultures and scientific sharing over the last 300 plus years. Oh, we're coming up on the 320th anniversary. What is it? 319th anniversary of First Contact in Lower Decks. It's 2381. It's 18th anniversary.
81, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. Don't let me forget. You guys can remind me later. We're going to try this out again. It seemed to work pretty well last time. Remember our Beyond Trek podcast hotline? The Beyond Trek hotline thing, have the number to call in where we can talk to the audience and the folks in chat. Yeah, I've got a great test for it, because for some reason, knowing that I'm doing a recording, my fiance just tried to call, so I should embarrass her and call her.
We don't want people on the show without their consent.
Oh no, she would know.
Yeah, no, I thought that the way that they presented the different cultures was really nice too. The way that we see Klingon lower deckers behaving makes sense. There's some scheming, there's some subservience, there's the go get me another barrel of blood wine, go walk the dog so he has an honorable movement, right? like that. The way the Vulcans were like, your punishment is go meditate for 2 days, lady. Right?
Some Klingon
also
hazing.
Really good. Yeah, exactly.
Renzo, will you show us your dog? I miss your dog.
Jingly.
Oh,
He has much jingly.
And the dog is appropriately named Tuvix.
Yep.
So that's pretty foreboding. I think he's going to end up having 2 dogs. Is what's going to happen.
Well, that can only happen if we take Tuvix to a con where Kate Mulgrew is.
Oh, there's a good boy.
He's got the wrinkly forehead and the pointy ears, right? So the name fit pretty well, and he's a good boy.
Everybody, dog. Oh no, I'm gonna point up because that's where he is to you guys.
But yeah, going back to the Vulcans in the show, I actually really liked how, their Vulcan snark was back in full effect, right? It felt like Tuvok talking down to someone again, which is great, because Tuvok was always great at that dry insult that doesn't sound quite like an insult. So yeah.
So the Vulcan aesthetic was really nice. It was very green, which I was wondering if they use that for just visual distinctiveness, but they picked the color of Vulcan blood.
We got to see Klingon blood too, which was nice. We haven't seen pink.
We got to see real Klingon blood.
Pink blood in a while.
Yeah.
Well, and that was the throwback that I like, is they showed the pink blood, because Klingon blood really is red. And the reason that we ever got the pink blood, which was in Star Trek VI: The Undiscovered Country, was that movie was looking at an R rating, staring down the barrel of an R rating from the MPAA, because of just mainly the
globs of blood,
the assassination scene. So they said, okay, either you change the color or you get this R rating. And of course, you can't have a rated R Star Trek movie. That would be awesome if that ever happens. But back then, even a PG-13 Star Trek would have been unheard of. Just like Revenge of the Sith, your first Star Wars movie that was PG-13. It's like, oh my God, wow. But here's, why do they go with pink? I don't know. Don't know that.
Pepto-Bismol was easily and readily available.
Well, yeah. But That was
Or
why.
in this timeline, we just used real Klingon blood because in this timeline, we harvest Klingon blood for Pepto-Bismol.
Ooh.
No. That's what Pepto Bismol is supposed to stop. You're not supposed to hurl after you get it.
Oh man. Well, but you gave me that image, and it's a good thing I haven't eaten yet today.
It was a really cool contrast in this episode of all the lower decks between the various ships.
Yeah.
I loved the Klingon aspect, and it's very interesting. On the Cerritos, we see that our lower deckers get these bunks that don't look super comfortable, very thin padding, and as we know, the senior officers get real rooms with real beds and those kinds of things. Here, to contrast, the lower deckers get these hammocks, which seem to be pretty cushy, but if you recall from Unification, Klingon beds are just hard, really hard
Boards.
to sleep on
Yeah.
if you're a human. And so it's the opposite here. You get your cushy bed, and when you become an officer, you can have your hard slab.
I'm sad we didn't get to see the Pakled beds in that case, right? I'm sure the Pakleds clump ship beds are pretty nice.
Now, if you had to pick between a Klingon bed that's just a slab of whatever, or a Minbari bed where you're sleeping at an angle, kind of that downward slope, which one would you pick? Because they didn't have footboards on that.
I would take the Ivanova approach. Take all the pillows off the Minbari beds and make my own bed on the floor. Fuck it.
I don't know. I'm a little weird. I tend to like sleeping inclined, so like head up top.
I feel like I'd slide.
Let me tell you,
have a
Renzo,
footboard, so you're okay.
You're right, because my fiance introduced me to the slanted bed thing, because that's how she did how she did hers. I thought she was a maniac. Like, who the hell does it like this? And she finally talked me into doing that with my bed here. And actually, it's nice. If you try it, it's really good, especially if you have, like I have sleep apnea. So I have this mouthpiece thing because I also do the clenching and had a habit of the clenching and grinding of the teeth. And with the CPAP, being on that incline helps with the airflow. But I will tell you, you're right. There are several times in the middle of the night where you kind of have to scoot yourself back up, because you are sort of naturally, kind of slowly, you're in a lower position when you wake up than you were when you started. So what I'd like to get, I don't know if they have this, I want to get some kind of like harness that hooks me to the headboard so I don't slide.
I'm sure that exists for you, Big J. I have zero doubts you can find it. They might make them out of leather with like studs and straps on them too. It might be what you're into.
I knew you were going there. I
can't imagine.
Have myself strapped up like this.
Any scenario in which you're sleeping strapped to the wall where you need to leave the house very quickly. That just doesn't exist.
No.
There's no reason to leave the house when you're sleeping strapped to the wall.
No, you don't have to get up quickly. Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about some other fun things in this episode.
I forgot we were talking about Star Trek. There we go.
I loved the Hawaiianers subplot with Ransom. I thought that was great. The idea that, there might be nobody really had like a big issue with the concept of the Benzite, like having been born and growing up in Hawaii. That tells you that Earth is so multicultural, so like cosmopolitan, it's not an issue. And that's beautiful to me.
Because why not?
Yeah, it's Idic.
I loved the aspect that played out in the TNG episode Lower Decks, where the ensign mistakes where Riker's from.
Oh, Lavelle, yeah.
And this is... I definitely feel the homage there, and I know that Lower Decks is so intentional to not acknowledge that. And they were all like, "We're from Hawaii," and then suddenly they're not all from Hawaii, but 3 of them are from moons.
I thought that was great.
Boibler's
why
like,
Hawaii?
Boibler was like, "I'm from Modesto, and that's like the moon of the Bay Area." And they're like, "If you were born from a moon, you would know how insulting that was."
Well, it's like I did that. Where I live is you've got to understand Cincinnati. If you haven't heard anything about it, you don't live here. There is a very west side, east side culture here, and the west side pretty much will, if they could go without acknowledging that there's even an east side, they would do it. Same with east side on the west side. So, and West Siders are just, they're real, how do I want to say it? Real dedicated about like a true West Sider, and where I'm at is kind of more northwest of that. So previous company I worked for, I was a field technician doing IT work. Was at one of our customer locations, and I'm just chatting, being friendly like I usually do, and somehow got in the conversation where somewhere in there I mentioned that where I was, and I said that's on the west side. Well, I made a mistake because I didn't know, but there was an actual West Sider in the room, and she kind of stood up and like, no, you're not. That's not the West Side. And so, yeah, you can't even. I made the mistake. I claimed to be what I wasn't, and got called out on that. So,
You're a horrible person, Jay.
that was
really just messed up. Like, how could you know? I'm kidding.
I don't know. Yeah, so that was my bad.
Don't worry, we won't hold it against you, Big J. You can be from the east side or the west side. It's fine.
I mean, from my end of the view, you're all east side, but that's because I live in the cool state.
Oh.
Tell me after the earthquake hits and y'all slide into the ocean.
Hey, you know what? You know what? Like, after the earthquake hits and we slide into the ocean, the beachside property is going to be like 40 miles east of me. So I'm just going to buy property there. Y'all can hang out at my Nevada beach.
Nevada County Beach, yeah.
Nevada, having seen water like that for the first time in 50 million years.
Right.
All right. Back to the episode, guys. Back to the episode.
God,
Wait,
yeah.
what?
So I thought that whole subplot was really cool. I liked how it wrapped up in the end, where when Red Alert came, no matter what you were doing, whatever you were in the middle of like playing with, you ended up back at your duty station. So people on the bridge are in like the Doritos shirts, and also in like snow gear.
She had figure skating gear on.
Yeah,
that's
Shax has the apron from doing all the sculpting and fighting fascism, and
Best
Tahana
line of the
is in
episode, by
her
the way.
climbing gear from climbing. Yeah, fighting fascism is a full-time job. Wah!
Best line of the episode for sure.
Yes, absolutely. Gosh, and again, even in the middle of all this, they have masterfully woven references to just in the background of stuff. Boimler's shirt, from Star Trek V.
We'll climb a rock.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
even
Great
the
reference.
costumes that were on the holodeck. You've got the Ambojitsu things, and you've got the wear that Crusher and Deanna wore when they were doing stretching, and you've got
The leotards.
even the medieval wear where it was there. That was an episode of DS9 where Kira and Jadzia were doing this royal thing that we never really got to see. It's just in the background. It's not part of the plot. They don't need to just overtly reference it. You just see it and you feel rewarded, and it's beautiful.
And Chuck A reminded us that Boimler was wearing Spock's jet boots on top of the Go
Right.
Climb a Rock shirt. So, and they've done this on, now I know it was Generations, of course, when they were doing the promotion ceremony for Worf. Picard and Riker showed up on the bridge still in their outfit, and I get that you have no time to change. Red alert's red alert. You drop what you're doing, get to your station, can't go change clothes. Here's the thing that I want to bring up, and I hope you guys know where I'm going with this. If you're in the holodeck and you're doing, say you're swimming, you've got your swim trunks on, nothing else, or let's just say you literally have nothing else on, do you
No, I assume you have time
throw
to
on
put
a
something on in
shirt
that
and
case.
something? Well,
Yes.
I don't know. I mean,
Well, so we saw Paris and Kim doing like dating on the holodecks, remember?
Right.
And they were there in Hawaiian shirts and like tight shorts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they ended up on the bridge in that, if I remember correctly.
They
But they
did?
were at least fully clothed. Yeah.
Huh. Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right. So,
Whereas if you're like bumping uglies with a creature from the holodeck, you're probably going to be expected to put on some clothing before you show up on the bridge.
I'm just saying
And
that if
that's-
it's red alert, I am not going to the bridge wearing booty shorts, if that was what I was in.
That's not even like a holodeck exclusive issue. You could be asleep.
Right.
True.
And like you got to throw on that uniform, which is probably where programmable matter comes in handy, because you can just be like beep beep uniform.
Nanotech,
Well, so
like
think
Tony
about it, right?
Stark.
most of the time when there's a red alert and other people are off shift, people are asleep. There are 3 shifts on an Enterprise, right? So
Yeah.
1/3 of your crew's asleep. A third of them are going to have to wake up and run to their duty station. That means they've got like a couple minutes to get dressed. It just means that people in Starfleet have to be prepared to like dress while still waking up, essentially, which isn't unreasonable for people in like the military or something. The same thing happens there.
That's when you end up putting on your uniform backwards or something. That's what I do if I have to get dressed in a hurry, is something's going to end up backwards or inside out. I guarantee you.
The design will just prevent you from doing so. It's fine.
It's totally cool. Totally cool. I think there's a first in this episode. I'm looking at the screenshots provided on cygnusx1.net if you're interested in looking at those. This is the first time I've seen a Klingon sword fashioned after a dachtag. Is that accurate?
It's certainly longer. I've never seen one that long.
But it's definitely not like a dachtag that we have seen before. Those are quite a bit shorter.
Yeah. No, I don't think we've ever seen one that long, and it's a cool one.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. It's like almost like a Klingon variant of Sting.
No.
Honestly, I was trying to figure this out when it happened, but that scene where the Klingon XO stabs the captain reminds me so much of something else, and I've been trying to figure out what it's an homage to, because it's got to be something. I'm thinking it's probably like an old samurai flick, but it's a really cool shot.
You talking about when the guy killed the captain?
When he lunges forward and goes right through him. Yeah. You see it pop out his back, essentially.
I mean, that happened in Flash Gordon, but I don't think that's what they're...
I don't think I've ever seen Flash Gordon, so I don't think that would be the one that makes it.
Good God, man. Watch that as soon as we're done today. That's classic. It's so 80s, too. Yeah. But don't get me started on
what
another...
that other dagger is that he's got.
Well, does anyone in the chat know? If you have any ideas what that sword or the dagger was or whatnot, and Just Genius made a
genius.
Okay, so it could be Genius. Maybe you can tell us phonetically in chat about that, but he said it reminded me of Picard laughing when he got stabbed in Tapestry. Yep.
Oh, I could see that.
Yeah, a bit of that for sure.
Well, and so did he? Was the laugh originally what happened, or was that because he was so happy that he was back in the how things originally happened?
I think it was just mania. I don't think that was like a happiness of actually getting something.
Okay, got you.
Hey, so I found the knife that he has. So he gets in the fight with the number one. He loses his sword, and then he comes at him with the smaller knife. That's an assassin's blade.
Oh, okay.
I would think that would be a dishonor to kill him with an assassin's blade.
Well, I mean, assassin probably doesn't always mean that you're coming out from the shadows or something like that. It just means that when I face you in combat and I've challenged you for your captaincy, this is the blade I'm using, and I'm going to assassinate you with it.
Just Genius says we should just call him Justin.
Okay, that's easy.
At least I think they're telling us that.
Yes.
There's just so much about this episode. The color schemes for all of the different ships are very identifiable, and also relative back to Klingon ships being dingy and red, and Vulcan ships being very Spartan and utilitarian, and also they have some very, I think they've got a different style of display on these Vulcan ships. They feel very holographic almost, so very
pristine.
They remind me of the ones they had in Enterprise, to be honest. Remember the pad that T'Pol always carried around? Yes. Had a very similar interface.
Yeah. So they keep the aesthetic really strong. And then, of course, the Pakled clump ship, which is just the abomination on screen, but for obvious reasons, it's...
Yeah, well, and I've always been curious as to how Lower Decks works on other ships. That's why I like this episode so much, is because imagining what the Klingons do when they're off duty, and it's basically like it feels like you're in a frat house the entire time you're on a Klingon ship. There's always headbutting or drinking or barking or fighting, whatever, things like that. It's like you're just constantly in a frat house or a frat ship. And the Vulcans, I haven't really thought of an analogy. Like you're in church. It seems like if you're on a Vulcan ship, you're just constantly in church. It just seems like very subdued kind of thing. I'm not talking about snake throwing church, more the subdued lower key ones. And then Starfleet lower decks, it's pretty much what you'd expect. It's what you
it's an office job.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's good. An office job. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and the Pakleds were clearly the guys who are high in the back of the McDonald's, right? Like sitting on top of the boxes of potatoes, or in their case, mush fruit.
Right, dude. You know what I just thought? Starfleet
I'm
ships
hungry.
are all called
You should
Enterprise.
eat. You're so smart. Yeah, they're the stoned guys in the back of the McDonald's.
They're in the
Very
Scooby Doo
much.
vehicle.
It reminds me of Idiocracy when they're like, wait, you like money and food? We should be friends.
Oh yeah.
Very 25th century Earth Ben.
So a Pakled ship is just Idiocracy in a ship.
Oh, what did you guys think of Captain Freeman's shirt? The Doritos shirt?
It's very
I
much
like
like
it.
a disco shirt.
Yeah.
I was saying that like Disco Doritos should be a Doritos tie-in promotion.
Do you
I
think
think that's out of Star
Doritos?
Trek's budget.
Yeah. Do you think Doritos survived World War III and then the founding of the Federation, and everything else?
I mean, we know
Have
Sluggo
we-
did.
Have we ever really seen snacks in Star Trek?
We've seen popcorn.
Right, popcorn, but I want to see some
seen
Doritos.
pretzels.
Pretzels? Okay. I want to see some Cheetos or Doritos or something. If you want to make a connection with your audience, let's see some of our modern day snacks.
I feel like we have seen cheese puffs, like
Guys.
Cheetos, like the puff ones, but
It's Starfleet. Everything in Starfleet is now branded with the Delta. So you're gonna see like Delta Doritos or Deltitos or
Delta
something.
mix.
Yeah, there's your Delta mix right there. It's gonna be like a cross between the Cool Ranch Doritos and the Salsa Verde. So you've got like Rancho Verde. Here we go. Make that happen.
that sounds really bad.
It's
Yeah.
better than Gach, thanks to Chuck. You want Gach flavored Doritos?
Oh my
Just
god.
Pick up your
chew
potato chip
properly.
and it's all like wiggly in
No,
your hand.
Stop it.
Chew
I'm
properly.
disconnecting. Why, Chuck, why would you do that? Gok flavored Doritos. Come on, man. Ugh. I wonder, well,
love this
hopefully they
fruit.
still have cereal in the future at least.
I'll bet you that the Replicators programmed with like 800 kinds, including some goth flavored cereal.
Oh, see,
There
now
you go. So,
here is the line, and here's Renzo.
what do you think is going to happen to that Klingon ship now that they've run back to the Empire and basically are? Seems like they're about to tattletale on the captain's motives for arming the Pakleds.
So I think that they were rogue. I think the Klingon the Klingon commander on that ship was definitely going rogue. He wasn't doing this with like official sanction.
Kind of like Claw in
Yeah.
Final Frontier.
Yeah, or Chang essentially going off the reservation too. Right? Like, I don't think that he had backing, so I don't think that it's going to become a regular thing where the Klingons are helping the Pakleds anymore.
Mhm.
That being said, the Cerritos might be used as a diplomatic envoy to this sort of thing to try and be like, okay, now figure out what the hell the Klingons were doing, right? I think that that's something the Cerritos could be involved in. It's kind of on the right diplomatic level. It's not like the highest of things, and the Cerritos knows the situation well, so that could be good. In which case, we'll see the Klingon captain, the new Klingon captain again, and we'll see him interacting with Freeman.
Well, this isn't the first time we've seen Klingons go rogue. There's the Duras sisters.
And Taral.
Right.
Yeah, but it's just Duras. Duras is the rotten egg of the Klingon culture.
Well, I'm
What
sure.
about Takuvma? Takuvma was essentially going rogue.
Takuma was House Duras.
No.
Yeah.
House Mokai.
Yeah.
House Mokai.
Right.
They petitioned for special dispensation to rename the house after Takuma's dishonor.
Or House Mokai married in to House Duras, you know.
Like House Quark married into House Grilka.
Yes. Yes. Good callback.
Oh, small sidebar thing. That scene with Boimler trying to make friends with Kayshawn again and trying to speak into Marion was, in fact, amazing.
Yeah, I had to pause it. I was laughing a little too hard in that moment.
It was a good
Do you
effort.
have any idea how hard it is?
To lose weight when you can replicate anything you want.
Yeah. I mean, you've got to worry, right? Like, I'll bet you that the thing has a way to program for food. Give me nachos, but make them not unhealthy, right? Okay. It probably can do it. It probably comes out pretty close.
How would you do that?
Replace carbohydrates with, like, starches or cellulose that you don't digest, right?
Diet
Stuff like that.
nachos?
Not even diet. I'm talking about, like, chemically engineered foods from the future that are supposed to look and taste like something, but not actually have the calories.
Okay.
I don't know.
For those of
Sci-fi
you that don't
magic.
know, I'm going to preface this with Renzo has done a lot of work on researching how replicators should work and their replication complexity and stuff like that, which was featured in it was in a real miss it and you blink and you miss it picture from, what was it, the Picard season 2 or something like that?
3.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. 3. Holy crank. Yeah, so Renzo's our tech guy.
Yeah, man. I mean, replicators are the coolest thing in Star Trek. So, I mean, I kind of want to follow along. But yeah,
Any
I don't know.
worries about that guy next to them who was wearing the Tamari or the game, the Qatari game?
There's probably a non-addictive version of it now, or like a low nicotine version of it, maybe. So it's like less bad.
Like holographic version of space golf.
Or like Tetris. Man, I know people who are real hooked on Tetris, right? So like something along those lines could fit.
Ooh.
Okay, so going back to the question about the Klingons thing. Big J, did you think that they were going back to Kronos and have a real issue, or how do you think that's going to go?
Well, yes, because there is precedent for that. So I mentioned just a little bit ago Captain Claw from Star Trek V, Final Frontier, where his actions with what he was doing, hunting the Enterprise. Remember the general near the end?
Horde. Yeah.
Right. Said that he was not acting under authorization from their government. And then, Tuvix, just go ahead and split them into 2 dogs right now. Let's do it.
Twice the fun stuff.
And so that happened. And of course, he was taken back, reported in, was reprimanded, demoted. And I know this has been told. I don't know if it was confirmed, but in Star Trek VI, the guy that was the stenographer at the court for the trial doing the translating was Captain Claw from Star Trek V. Got bumped down to that. I don't know if it was confirmed. Maybe someone in our chat group may have heard that or could confirm if it's true or just knows of the rumor. So, yes, just like any other ship, any other culture, you have someone go rogue, and they could certainly be taken into custody. I mean, the Klingons aren't without their rules. Same thing with who was a captain in TNG. Miles O'Brien served with them. He went after the Cardassians.
Maxwell.
Oh, yeah.
Maxwell,
The
yeah.
warden from Shawshank.
The warden from Shaw. Yes, yeah. Same thing.
So I'm just going to point out that Todd Bryant was the actor who played the Klingon translator in Star Trek: The Undiscovered Country. The same actor who played Claw in Star Trek V. So totally, there's some beta canon connections that could be inferred there, but
If it's
definitely not credited that way on screen. So if you are a canon, I don't know what to describe. If you are like a canon person, like canon is canon.
To me, I think if you go out of your way to
Very
make it to get the same actor, to me, where they could have had anyone doing that, I think that's
So
they're
you're saying
saying
the actor clawed his way back.
He was also an engineering cadet in
a,
Wrath of Khan. Let's not dig too deeply into this.
hold on.
I've been canceled. I've been canceled.
Yeah.
This is what happens.
Mute. Dag has been muted.
No,
All right.
that's actually. I want to let you know. I've never heard of that before. That was really cool to look up and be like, okay, so there's precedent for that being the case there.
Yep.
Well,
Now, one thing I do like about Klingons is, at least since Star Trek 3, we've seen that Klingons are far more egalitarian with regards to the sexes than Starfleet was, even, really. Right? Like, far more than you'd think. You had women as XOs, you had women as their top secret spies, they were using women aggressively in all command posts that exist throughout TNG, and you see it even here in the Lower Decks episode, when there's a Mariner equivalent on the Klingon ship, and she seems like a badass.
yeah.
Yes. Well, and again, going back to Star Trek V, Vixis.
The XO.
Right. Yeah, you do not want to mess with her. Even Chekhov, at the end of that movie, she's got, talking to Sulu, she's got wonderful muscles.
That movie ended so serenely. That was a good ending.
Right.
Only,
Yeah.
you know.
Let's get back to Lower Decks. How do we keep going off on these tangents? It's like Tangent
Because
Sunday.
we're us, and we go beyond.
Spice
Okay.
Williams. Thanks, Chuck. That's the name I was trying to think of.
So, other things on the episode that I thought were pretty neat. I thought that the fact that Talyns' big development was regenerative shielding for the Vulcan ship was pretty cool. We've seen regenerative shielding in the past. We've seen it on the Enterprise E. We've seen it on the Prometheus. Now, if there's a Vulcan version thereof or some improvement that the Vulcan have come up with, that's cool. That makes sense. It would make sense that she would read up on the research on it and then find a way to apply it to her own shield generators. It's enterprising thinking. It's very taking advantage of the situation.
Yeah.
Well, and like her superior says later, it's like, well, you were rewarded this time, but that's probably just going to make you more bold for further outbursts. So we're going to transfer you. And my guess is, she's probably going to be really effective if she ends up, as we see here, transferred to Doritos.
You said before that you think that her and Mariner would end up as besties. I think the opposite. I feel like her and Mariner would be at odds the entire time, and her and Boimler, on the other hand, might turn out to be very good friends.
Are we gonna do the Kirk, Spock, McCoy rivalry there?
Of Lower Decks?
Maybe,
Ooh,
with Mariner serving as the McCoy.
Mariner as the McCoy?
I kind of would be okay with that. I'd be really okay with that, because then
would Mariner
that
be
just
the
means that
No.
we're gonna have.
She's too emotional.
Lower Decks season 4, The Search for Talyn.
Well, I mean, I think if they're going that way, my prediction is Talyn is the Spock, obviously, Mariner's Kirk, and Boimler's McCoy. That's just me. That's how I picture it.
I just see Talyn and Boimler getting along better, and having the McCoy Spock rivalry being between Mariner and Talyn.
Okay. Yeah.
And she'll pull out the green-blooded, and someone will be like, Mariner, we don't say that anymore.
That is an insult.
I don't think they said it when McCoy was saying it. McCoy is just a good old boy at times, and he gets away with it.
Oh, right.
They can both give each other that sarcastic Vulcan salute. We saw that sassy walk out there from Talyn, with as much sass as a Vulcan could muster, obviously.
Again, love Vulcan dry snark. Love
Yes.
it. It's everywhere in the scenes.
In Star Trek 2009, when Spock turns down the role, and he's like, live long and prosper, and he says it with such vitriol. That's the feel that I got here.
That was basically the Vulcan way of saying, go fuck yourself.
Pretty much.
That was what I was hearing. The same tone and inflection. Live long and prosper. But yet Vulcans have attitude. And speaking of Spock and the Kelvin timeline, Star Trek Into Darkness, where he got sassy with Pike, and what did Pike say to him? Are you giving me? I don't know. He said something about are you giving me a sass or lip or something like that? And Spock was like, I'm displaying.
Are you giving me attitude? I am expressing multiple attitudes simultaneously, sir. To which are you referring?
I feel like I should use that
was
line.
it. That was
You
it.
probably could get away with that, yeah. If you're in the middle of a call at work or something.
I mean, that is, I don't think I've ever seen a Vulcan be so insubordinate in the way he said.
Well, now you've seen Talyns, and Talyns is clearly unhinged. She's off the rails, man.
Yeah.
Right, are you giving me attitude, Spock?
I've never seen anybody on Star Trek ever have such a rage about them. Like, even Shax doesn't come close to Talyns.
I love Shax.
I'm so glad.
Put it in the
Shax's
clay,
back.
Big Bear.
I am
Put it in the
glad
clay.
he's back.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
glad
but
he's back, and I hope we get to explore more of his time resisting, because that seems like a really cool backstory to explore.
Just don't ask him about it, though.
no, don't ask. But I love the ghost reference of him with the clay. You know what I was hoping for? I was really hoping that he would help. Oh my God, my brain is done.
Rutherford,
Yeah,
Boimler, who else?
Rutherford would get behind Rutherford and, like, help him make the clay, the thing, just like Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore did in Ghost. I think that was another missed opportunity. I'm just saying. It would have been hilarious.
I mean, it might have been a little suggestive, which they're probably trying to avoid between characters if they're not actually trying to pair them up.
Yeah.
But besides, we know who Shax is after, and Ta'ana is all over him, literally.
Dude,
So-
that would be the ghost scene that I'd love to see is Ta'ana and Shax doing acrobatic sculpting.
Ooh, dang, that's a good point. Snark actually, or Glenn Iverson, Snark is a good name for a Vulcan. It actually sounds pretty close.
Lieutenant Snark.
Yeah, that's a good name for an actual Vulcan. I like that.
Hmm.
Oh man, I know we're keep going like back and forward in this episode, but there's a lot of really cool things that happen here. There's some cool references that happen, right from the beginning. We see Rutherford at one point sitting in his booth with a model of DS9, the model that he got from the Doppler episode with an Ezri and a Jadzia. We see, they're free climbing.
You brought up Ezri, now I'm sad again. Dang.
I have no idea why. So I don't know what the puppet was on the Klingon ship, though. That was weird. Everybody else like, what puppet? And I'm like, yeah, exactly.
That's what I was thinking. A
It was the
puppet?
dog toy. It was the dog's toy.
Oh yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
The
Well, yeah.
Targ's toy, whatever.
Yeah, Targs have to have toys, right?
You should see how many Tuvix has. He has mountains of toys.
Oh.
They have to
Yes.
have things to play with.
Yes, when I got a dog, we spent like $500 to get all the things we needed for that dog, and then
Wow.
we only had him for a week.
Oh
Aw,
man,
what happened?
Aw.
The rescue decided that it wasn't a good fit because we don't have an expansive backyard for a puppy that clearly had attachment issues. But
Oh.
that's another story. If you want to talk about my puppy's attachment issues, hit me up on Twitter at Checknexus. What was that game that Janeway used to play with Seven that we see
Scott?
Mariner and no?
Oh,
they never played
Velocity? No.
Velocity, right? Yeah, no, it's Velocity. And I love the fact that Mariner and Freeman are working out their issues here because
Yes.
when Beckett leaves, Freeman is like, "I had a good time today," and Mariner's like, "Yeah, me too," and they left.
What about Cerritos Clue?
Oh
Yes.
yes,
The
yes,
chef
Cerritos Clue.
in the engineering room with the
We have-
phaser rifle that can
we
shoot
have
through walls.
replicators. Why do we need a chef? Mike McMahon posted something on Twitter about this. There's a user, Gog Yogi is his name on Twitter. He posted like there's some kind of weird layering issue on these cards, and Mike McMahon was like, I have been freaking out about this for 2 days, and somebody was like, no one's gonna see it except for these two freaking people. But the layering issue is in the cards. There's a magnifying glass, but there are like keyframe markers in the middle of the magnifying glass for something that should have probably appeared there, it looks like.
Mhm.
And so it'd be interesting to see what that layer was supposed to be. And as we know, Paramount Plus has done, they have revised their episodes to achieve a new level of effects when they're achievable, as best represented by Data's hairline in Picard.
That his hairline was CGI'd, right, or something.
Well, when it first came out, it was just a wig, but then
Right.
it got better CGI, and they replaced it in those scenes in the episodes on the series. So if you haven't rewatched Picard and you were mad about Data's appearance, well, it's fixed now-ish.
It's improved. We'll go with improved.
let me go on that real quick, and this is going to tie back into a comment that Glenn made here in our chat when I was talking about us getting off track. He said, "Gasp! People talking about Star Trek and going off topic, that never happens." Glenn, you have no idea. We have ended up in rabbit holes so deep that we didn't even remember what we were talking about that led us down into that corkscrew of the Alice through the looking glass kind of thing. And the first preview of Picard, there was a lot of backlash about how Data looked. And if you guys know, or if you folks in the chat know, I think that was such an early preview that they were going to fix him up in CGI anyway, or there was such a backlash on his look that they had to maybe then CGI it when they weren't planning on it, or do a reshoot, something. You remember what I'm talking about? They even had a side-by-side of the preview Data in Picard, and then the same scene, but it was like a before and after. You know,
that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. It was he looked like a mannequin.
I feel like they Sonicked us, if you know what I mean by Sonic.
Yes.
Us.
Oh yeah.
Because when Sonic the Hedgehog's first trailer came out, everybody on the internet exploded with like, it doesn't look anything like him. What's wrong? And that generated a ton of interest that went viral. And of course they fixed it, very quickly and stuff like that. But the internet discussions were like, they fixed this really quickly. How did they render an entire movie, give us a trailer that looked bad, and then 3 months later release the movie done with the right rendering? How did they do that? And the theory is that like they rendered the trailer specifically for the reason of getting the outrage to viral and get that interest.
That's some tin hat bullshit. There's no way you're going to put yourself in such jeopardy of pissing off fans that much. I don't buy it. It is more likely that there is a fuck up than a conspiracy. The fuck up here is they made it look bad. That was just the design that they'd gone with, a humanized, more person-looking Sonic, rather than a conspiracy to try and trick people into seeing the movie. Cock up before conspiracy.
But conspiracies are fun.
I love.
Do you want to make this a QAnon podcast? We can talk about that instead if you want.
Ooh. Q track. Well, we already have a character named Q.
Mm-hmm. That's what I meant.
That's as anon as we get.
Beyond QAnon podcast.
No. Ow. My face. There's a great GIF for that. There was like the episode where Q loses his powers and he's like, I keep trying to convince you, I can't help you, I can't do anything. It's like, yes, that's exactly how I feel about the conspiracy. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's see. Is there anything else notable for you guys in the episode that you specifically want to call out? I want to say I did really like the bonding scenes between each of the crewmates and their like bridge buddy, because I think that's good. That makes sense. It makes sense to find like a good mentor. That's the word. A good mentor inside of your ship. Yeah. So I like that. It's good. Ta'ana fitting in with Tendi. Cool as expected. The fact that Rutherford still has two mentors, he's got Billups and Shax, is very interesting. And he's still Baby Bear to Shax, which is perfect.
Baby Bear.
So good. All that makes sense. I actually thought that Ransom with Boimler was a good pairing too. They both definitely have deep-seated insecurities that they cover up with other means. Mm-hmm. And Mariner with Mom is perfect too. So
yeah, that and again, those are the moments that I think Lower Decks is going for, is like what happens outside of the main plot. The main plot of this episode was exposing the Pakleds as being, fueled by this particular Klingon, if not more. But you get these very powerful character moments between the mentor and the mentee. And then, that kind of pays off at the end, even where that fresh-faced cadet approaches Boimler and is like, "Hey," and that's pretty cool.
That was a cute scene at the end too. You're right.
Yeah. And then, the Vulcan snark thing. At least there was still some kind of expressions of respect there. The Klingon ship was just utterly chaos. It felt like pretty much. Sure, there's a respected hierarchy, but the lower decker killed his captain and became the captain.
Hey guys, I just want to say this real quick. So, as part of the did we say this is virtual TrekCon that we're doing for our listeners or viewers? That this is the occasion for the live streams for virtual TrekCon, which we did this. Let's see, it was around January-ish of this year, and now virtual TrekCon has come back as it's going to be a weekly Sunday event, and that's put together by Ryan T. Husk, who is a great guy, great friend of ours. He's been on some of our podcasts as well. He does the Seventh Rule Star Trek podcast with Sirach Lofton. And I just realized here that the next event or the next thing on the schedule is 4:00. So that the folks in our audience can have time to get to that. I want to ask a question. Now, it worked last time I used it. Do you want to do the call in on the phone thing? Open up the Beyond Trek hotline and see if we could take a call or two. I can put up the number.
This isn't a recording. We'll prove it. It's not a recording.
Right? Yeah, we'll prove it.
And we'll pretend to pick up the phone and talk to you during the segment.
Yeah, this is not recording. It's really live. So the Beyond Trek hotline is 513-279-2344. Don't be shy. Tell us what you liked about this episode, what you thought about it. And
it just magically appears right there on the screen. How cool is that? And everybody in the audience who probably knows the year of those last four numbers, 2344. What happened in 2344 in Star Trek?
Call us and tell us we're wrong. Call us and tell us why you disagree with any of our takes, man. Right? Like have a good time arguing with us. We're here for it.
2344. If anyone can guess, I don't want to give it away because, well, I know there was what I know, and I think Dag, didn't you come up with something totally different that I wasn't thinking of? So there it is, 2344. Ask our viewers in the chat, or call us and tell us if you recall what is specific about, or what's significant about 2344. So it's 513-279-2344. Dag, what was that gun? Was that like one of those laser tag guns that you just held up?
That's the 2399 phaser from Picard. I like to call it the Parasaurala phaser.
Where do you get all these toys?
Parasaurolophus. Where did you get all those wonderful toys? Thanks for the Joker thing. I got that off of eBay. But my favorite thing that I'm like jonesing on, because I play a doctor in the Star Trek Adventures game on Tuesday, is the tricorder with the scanner. Like, that's like, I just play with that. The tricorder also holds dice, but people don't get to see that on the screen. So it's a dice holder. It's
a dice holder. Back when the golden age of Star Trek merchandising, Playmates, I had the tricorder, and also had the phaser, and there was a bridge, there was a transporter playset. We had all the toys. Glenn in our chat says,
hypo spray.
Oh yeah, hypo spray. It seems that he knows the 2344 reference, so that's a good catch if you know that.
He actually posted it yesterday. I would have been enterprising enough to elaborate.
That's a great hint. I like that. Hint. I like that. Well, you know what's funny? That's a Google Voice number, and it's not something you can like type out
request
the number.
A number?
Right. It's just, here are the ones available in your area. And I was looking, just trying to think of, okay, well, what I want to pick, what's something that's going to be, I'll remember, or at least unique, kind of like that. And I saw the 2344, and I said, yoink, that's the one. That's one I'm taking right there. So, yeah, so I picked that. Let's see. So what else about this
I'm
this
still
episode?
kind of getting lost in the visual of this Vulcan ship. I mean...
Yeah?
We don't get to see them very often, and that's one of the things that I just from the whole series is these establishing shots of these ships. They're so pretty, hovering over wherever they're hovering. Even when you're like looking at the lower decks window and you can see the nacelles of the Cerritos out the window and they're at warp. It's just, there's so many beautiful moments
And it's not just with them standing still, though. They're also at warp. They're swooping. They're like swooping down, right? And we just get nice shots to take a good look at these beautiful ships. It's something that we don't get enough of on the other shows.
It was nice to see, the Bird of Prey gave me very distinct Star Trek 4 vibes, because they sort of modified the bridge of the Bird of Prey from between the movies, because in Star Trek 3 you had that center hierarchy area that Doc Brown sat on.
They did all that.
They had the periscope too. They had the torpedo periscope.
You put the shoulder brackets on and cruise around. That's pretty cool. I like that the Klingons seem to rely a little bit more on visual targeting. On a Starfleet ship, they're always like, sensors are down, automated targeting is down, I'm switching to manual. And it's like the Klingons wouldn't have that switching to manual thing. They might have an assist in the periscope, but they might be able to override the targeting sensor with a fire if they expect the ship to outmaneuver the targeting sensor.
I love that. I love the periscope targeting. That's awesome.
It's one of those things that makes sense for their culture, right? Like, you want the honor of blowing up the other ship yourself. You don't want to give it to the computer and push the button, right? You want the honor.
That definitely tracks. Yeah. Can we talk about the Targ and how it was like, I hate my captain?
I love the Targ. It's adorable.
Yeah, I like the Targ.
It was so good.
Okay, so
he was just like, this guy's abusing me. I'm gonna bite him.
Where do you walk a Targ on this ship? Like,
anywhere.
Where did Porthos go to pee?
Wherever the Targ wants.
Yes.
I just that was the thing that I couldn't quite reconcile about Archer's dog on the Enterprise. And
honestly, they probably have a holodeck on the Klingon ship, right? And they just like walk it around there, and then they pick it up afterwards.
Well, yeah, because Captain Krug, he had a Targ on his ship, and and who did he tell to feed the dog? After the scene, was it Maltz?
Like
no, it wasn't Maltz. It was
Maltz lived at the end. It was the guy that I think that. I don't remember.
Oh wait, we're getting a phone call. We're getting a phone call.
Hold
on. All right, we're gonna find out if this works or if this just goes. Whoa.
Call from Justin. Just Genius Art.
To accept, press 1. To send a voice...
Just Genius.
Sorry, I had this turned up all the way. Justin, hello. Can you hear us? Welcome to Beyond Trek Podcast. Sorry if I blew out anyone's ears. I'm looking at my recorder here, and I forgot that I had it like cranked up to 9 for some crazy reason. So how you doing today, Justin?
I'm doing fantastic. Happy Sunday. Happy VTC,
Sunday.
Virtual Trek Con.
Oh, yeah.
VTC.
There's no better way to spend Sunday than doing Virtual Trek Con, right?
It was perfect. It's right on time.
Yeah.
Snuck up on me. I love it.
It's every Sunday for the rest of the year, isn't it?
Yes. Every Sunday, I believe, and for the rest of the year was the stopping point. At least that's been said up to now. Was every Sunday.
Definitely been catching the videos and new updates from the 7th Rule, so I've definitely been enjoying looking at the replay. So, yes.
Good. Now, is this your first time watching or listening to Beyond Trek Podcast?
No, I've talked to you guys before. I really enjoy it. And so thank you again. I was literally making me some coffee and coming back into the living room when I saw the number up.
Yes. Okay. You've called before. I thought your voice sounded familiar. So yeah. Thanks for calling in again. So tell us about this episode. What did you like about it?
I like that I'm catching on that if they go right into the intro, that means that the episode is going to be pretty good, because this is like maybe the second or third time where that's happened. I really enjoyed the Klingons, definitely. I felt everyone was very authentically in terms of canon and how they've been portrayed, from the Vulcans. And it was just hilarious to me when the Vulcans went more into them. So I hope Talyns is not like a hybrid or she's half anything. I hope she's really Vulcan, so it really shows off that aspect that they are emotional. So for them, when they're doing outbursts, it don't even seem like they change their tone to it. So I enjoyed that.
So you're hoping it's not just a conspiracy type of Vulcan plot like Valeris in Star Trek VI. You want it to be just this is a person, this Vulcan that's not a hybrid. It's not a plot. It's not trying to get a mole onto a Starfleet ship. It's just, this is who the character is.
I'm open for anything. Hey, if it's like that, true, awesome. But in terms of actual biologies or speciesism, like keep it Vulcan. I think they did an authentic job of showing us a different species. So it made me excited. I was like, oh wow, if they can pull off Vulcans this good, what would an Andorian ship look like, or what would another planet or species would look like? So.
Oh, that'd be a delightful kind of vignettes, right? Like if they show us, like, here's a few minutes of what lower decks are like on a Romulan ship or a Cardassian one or a Ferengi one. That kind of like exploration would be really cool. I'd be down for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely felt that. I was definitely like on the fence of like, okay, if she's getting, transferred, obviously she's going to somewhat end up on the Cerritos, right? I'm cool with that, but I would have perfectly been fine with us just peeking in on that ship every now and again.
Maybe we will. Maybe we'll hear back with the Cheval and see what else they're doing. Maybe what Talyns does on the Cerritos is such a accomplishment that she gets sent back.
Well, I think it was. I thought it was hilarious that they treated that as like a discipline.
High punishment.
Yes, punishment. Instead of going in timeout, you're going to go to a Starfleet ship. I mean, that's kind of a slap in the face to Starfleet.
Can you think of anything more Vulcan than that, though? Talking down about like working on a Starfleet ship.
Okay,
you should be on the Vulcan Science Academy. You should be in the Vulcan Expeditionary Fleet, right? Like they don't seem to have much respect for Starfleet generally.
Yeah, and that kind of borrowed from Enterprise. So exactly. I like when they mix in the different series and you get, senses of DS9, Voyager, and Enterprise. And, that's one of the things about Vulcans. They're very smart, they're very logical, but that slow to move sets them in the pace for hundreds of years sometimes. And even from Archer's time, they still hold this, like, nose up towards humans and Starfleet and our emotions and etc. I like that writing intertwined, and it's still funny.
It's a shame that they do that, but yes, they do. They take it as a slight to you and your service and character if you end up on a Starfleet ship or serving in Starfleet. And I would have thought that by now that wouldn't be a thing, But I guess maybe that stuff just doesn't go away.
Prejudices are harder to break, right? We all know that from the real world. So, yeah. I mean, honestly, I feel like most Vulcans by that point are probably like, oh, humans are just being humans, and they don't think of that as being particularly racist, but you could certainly take it that way. But, maybe they're right sometimes.
Well, I like that when the captain was kind of exposing her or transferring her, I thought he was going to say you're acting like a human, but he said you're acting like a child. So that also kind of reminds me like, oh yeah, that's right. They see us as like a young baby race. They don't even see us as on that level at all.
We have such short lives for them, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, how old was Sarek when he passed away? In the 230s or so? So yes, we're well, in the human average lifespan, I think the oldest we saw was Dr. McCoy, and he made it to 120-ish. But I believe the average human lifespan is probably still in the beginning 100s, even at that point.
Yeah, it seems that way. Picard is that way in his with the new et cetera in season 1. So. It seems like that's the type of age range we can get to and still be, pretty good and in our elder age, etc.
Like to Vulcans, their 80s is our 30s, something like that.
Yeah, and I mean, if you go into the Star Trek canon, there are certainly some races that live lives so long that when they hit like 200, that's when they're finally considered adults, right? So
wow.
Yeah, there's one of those in Moments Asunder, a book which we've all just read recently, which is a great book for y'all.
Well, you know what else we could get is an Elorian who's been an ensign way longer than Mariner, who's like, yeah, I agree with her. You should never get promoted. It's been like 200 years in Starfleet. He's like, yeah, no, it sucks.
Yeah.
Hey, it's 1:00. I think there's another panel.
Yeah, there is.
1:00 my time.
There's another panel that just started a couple minutes ago. So to respect that other panel, we should probably be wrapping up here. What I want to do though, real quick, is put up our social media sites, and thanks to our special contributors. So on social media, we've got patreon.com/Beyond Trek. Same as Twitter, that's Beyond Trek Pod, actually. And on Twitter, we hope that you engage with us there. That is Dag's domain, and he has been killing it on Twitter, which is awesome. Thank you for that, Dag. Facebook and Instagram's Beyond Trek Podcast. So Beyond Trek Podcast, you've got to use all three words. If you just search for us, Beyond Trek, you could get all kinds of things.
A bicycling company.
Yeah, bicycling company, and we're probably lower on the list. But yeah, Beyond Trek Podcast. And special thanks to our contributors, Stephanie Baker with Patreon and Anchor, Nora Hickson with Patreon, S. Tam, Patreon donator as well, Anne Marie, Patreon, Jim Cook with Anchor, and John from Cygnus-X1.net. He does all of these screen caps, which are awesome. Our show very much leans heavily on those screen caps, so thank you very much for that, John. And thank you, Justin, for calling in. We really appreciate it, and we're hoping to be able to do this again, since virtual TrekCons every Sunday. I'll definitely be in touch with the man, the myth, the legend that has set all this up, Ryan T. Husk, and let our services be out there. If you need something filled in, we're more than happy to help. And say, Dag, you want to close us out?
Thank you.
Waiting
thanks,
for the
Justin.
Anticipation. Thanks, Justin, for being here. Thank you, Chat Pack. We love engaging with you guys. Hit us up on Twitter, like Big J said. And as always, thank you for going boldly with Beyond Trek Podcast.
Thank you. You all have a nice day. Enjoy the next thing. And I've got a little thing that I want to wear. Where is it? This is the best little outro. And you know what? I am not. Oh, here we go. Okay, hold on just a minute. Hold on. It's coming.
My eyebrow can only go so high.
All right. Thanks all for being with us today.
We are Beyond Trek Podcast. Lower your inhibitions and surrender your years. We will add inspirational and hilarious Trek content to your day. Your attention will adapt to subscribe to us. Resistance is futile.